Well, from alcohol and drug addictions to life's hurts and pains, the reality is most of us know someone, whether it's a friend, a coworker, a relative, or anyone who struggles with this. Some do find help through the medical system, some never find help at all, and others find a spiritual solution. Joining us from Lethbridge to discuss this is Patti Bydevaate, ministry leader with Celebrate Recovery. Patti, welcome to Bridge City News. Great to have you on today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this.
Absolutely. Okay, so maybe give us a bit of an overview of what Celebrate Recovery is all about.
Well, Celebrate Recovery is about finding freedom from our hurts, hangups, and habits of any kind. Most of us in life have been hurt in some way or another. And some people think that this is just for people with addictions, but it really truly isn't. We've all had hurts or hurt somebody at some point. And so we get freedom through Christ, and this is long-lasting true freedom.
Okay, and you meet in Lethbridge, right? So where and when do you guys meet?
We meet on Friday evenings at 7 p.m. at the Park Meadows Baptist Church, and the last Friday of the month, though, we start at 6 o'clock because we have a pizza supper, and then it's a special Friday evening that we it's a celebration. So celebrate recovery. We
Mhm.
celebrate.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the church there. Now, are people who aren't involved in any church or even non-Christians welcome to attend as well?
Everyone is welcome to attend. We welcome with open arms anybody, and we are glad to see new faces. And it is growing. It is ministering to Christians or non-Christians, and it's a great program for absolutely everyone, men and women, anybody above the age of 18.
Wow. Okay. And so you say that the program, it's not just for people who are struggling with drug and alcohol, but for a wide variety of hurts, right? Or habits or hangups. How do you help those people? Maybe explain that a little bit.
Absolutely. It is for a wide variety of hurts, hangups, or habits. Some of us, some people have issues with codependency, or maybe there might be other addictions like shopping addiction or food addiction, um, or just simply been hurt and are struggling with maybe some anxiety or depression and just need some support from a loving group of people that love God and love each other and just want to help one another in finding this true freedom. And this is, it's a part of what God has brought into my life and many people's lives around the world. And so yeah, it's for absolutely anybody.
Yeah. And a lot of those hangups sound like things that many of us can relate to as well. I mean, we all get anxiety at sometimes, the shopping addiction, I can totally
Yeah.
relate to that as well. And
Yes.
yeah, I'm sure you see it in various degrees to the point where people
Yes.
need help. So it's almost like a 12-step program, though, right? Where kind of similar to Alcoholics Anonymous. So, what would the key differences be?
Well, it is very similar to the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have not been involved with Alcoholics Anonymous, so I'm not familiar at all. But from what I've heard, and that's where it originated, John Baker from California was very involved. He's passed away last year, but he started at Alcoholics Anonymous, and then he was wanting to do something that was Christ centered. And so he talked to the pastor of his church, Rick Warren, and that's where it all started. Rick Warren just said, "Okay, this is your ministry, go with it." And so yeah, it's biblical based. The 12 steps approach is from the Beatitudes, from the book of Matthew. And so it's very, yeah, set up the similar to Alcoholics Anonymous. We also have 8 principles Uh, and so it's really set up well according to how God wants us to be able to truly find freedom, and not as the world sees it. But
It's
it's great.
interesting. It's interesting that it was started by the same person who started Alcoholics Anonymous, or AA, as it's more commonly known. And it sounds almost like he wanted to kind of make it a little bit more spiritual. Like AA is spiritual. They talk about your higher power, but it sounds more like he really wanted to hone in on that sort of Christian angle. Is that kind of what I'm getting from that?
Yes,
Hmm.
exactly. He went to church there at Saddleback in California, and he there was no Christ-based program to help people with addictions, and he had an addiction, and so he was searching, and so then he wrote up this. Uh, yeah, a paper to the pastor wanting to start a ministry, and yeah, Rick Warren just said, "Go with it. It's blessed by God, and yeah, it's in every country around the world. It's a huge ministry, and it is really truly helping many people. And me personally, it has helped me as I have been hurt in my past, and so I came just, yeah, seeking help because I was struggling with some anxiety and depression. So, yeah.
Yep. Okay. And I guess you turn around and now you're leading that group, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing. So, what kinds of
What
things would take place in a typical meeting? Maybe walk us through that a little bit.
Right. So at the beginning of the meeting, we have two main parts, and then at the end we can just get together for coffee and snacks at the very end after 9 o'clock. But the first hour between 7 and 8 o'clock is a large group, and people come and we sing some worship songs, and we go through and say the either the 12 principles or the 8 steps, and we listen to either one week we listen to a lesson by Johnny Baker or somebody else. Um, Sometimes it's online, but so yeah, that's how that is taught. But every other week, then we do a testimony, and we are trying actually to once a month have a live testimony. So some of our leaders have written up their testimonies and we'll share them in person, which is very powerful.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so that's great. But otherwise, we have testimonies that we have access to online. And so the large group will meet and listen to that. Then the men and the women between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock divide into separate groups, men and women. And then they are welcome to openly share something that touched them about the testimony, or what was important that they could glean from the lesson, and just digging deeper. And also then there's a time of prayer where we can pray for one another. So it's such a blessed evening, and it's such amazing people coming together to um, just support one
Are
another. And
people required to share their own struggles at these meetings, or is it more of a like when you see fit, you can open up about it? You can sit there and just take it all in. You don't have to necessarily share.
right. At the beginning, many of us are nervous to share, and
Hmm.
so there is no requirement to share at all. Only when you are ready, you can share, and where God leads and how He leads. And yeah, at the beginning, a lot of people don't share, and that's okay. Come and listen. Come and just be a part. Build relationships. Connect with other women or men, and just yeah, over
Sure.
time,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
as the
just
heart leads.
curious when people are addicted to a substance, or if they have a lot of that hurt that they're holding on to, how long does it take to recover from that? I know it would vary definitely from person to person, but is there kind of an average timeline that you're looking at?
Well, I'm not sure about an average timeline because a lot of people's addictions are different. We are not counselors or we don't do counselor referrals, but some people do come after they've been either in a treatment or sometimes they come before they've been in treatment and then they realize that maybe they should go for treatment. So it definitely varies. I don't know if there is a an average timeline, but for every person, it all depends on how serious you are and how diligent you want to dig into your
Sure. Yeah,
healing
no, that makes
and
sense.
your journey.
Are there any particular keys to breaking an addiction?
Um, there is ultimately giving it to God. God really leads, and so that's a huge thing. Connecting with other people that attend and finding that support when you are struggling. We freely can share our cell phone numbers or communicate with people on Friday nights. After the Friday nights, um, the men have started something on a separate night called Step Studies, which digs deeper through some actual work and whatnot. And it's usually about a year long. The women are going to be starting shortly for these step studies. And so it's a separate day of the week. And you dig deeper, but you also connect more deeper on those during those step studies. So that's a separate other than Friday nights. And so that depending on how deep a person and how diligently a person is working on that will be how quickly and how soon you will find that some true freedom.
Sure. And of course, we are human beings, and obviously, people have relapses. So, what happens when a person relapses? What's the plan for that, and how often does that tend to happen?
For every person, it's different, and a relapse can happen sometimes even at the beginning, one every other week or every week or whatever.
Hmm.
Sometimes, whatever, like it can happen. And there is some of the lessons are geared to relapse. So there is one of the lessons called relapse. And it really helps us be aware that relapse is possible and if it does happen, what we can do. And what we can do is just keep going. Pick up your bootstraps, like don't um, stop your healing journey. And that's when we truly need to lean into our fellow celebrate recovery people, our and really just talk to them and just be open and honest. And there is no shame in coming back whatsoever. We are just glad that people will come back after relapse, and that we know they will, yeah, continue. And that's the blessing of seeing that where somebody has relapsed and they just keep
Sure.
then walking the journey.
Yeah, I mean, we often hear that sometimes our social circles can shape us. So, with that said, how important is it for someone who wants to break that cycle of addiction to form some new social networks, get some new friends? Is that almost key?
It is. It
Hmm.
is very much key because when you've been very entrenched, maybe in a deep addiction, your social circles are people that are also commonly in addiction and in that same addiction. And so, therefore, we really encourage people to connect and stay connected with friends that they meet at Celebrate Recovery and communicate once a week or more often if needed so that they can keep going and yeah, they will probably see that they will connect more and more with their new friends, and that's what we encourage and encourage, um, as they would like to maybe go to church, and meet people there. But yes, building new friendships.
Right. And then once again, just to remind our viewers, you meet at 7 p.m. on Fridays, right? In
Yes, we
Lethbridge,
meet.
anyways. Where is that?
Yes, we meet at 7 p.m. In Lethbridge at the Park Meadows Baptist Church. There is another church that is also supporting along the way and has other people involved that have come from that church, and that's Parallel, also in Lethbridge, which has been great. We've got some great support there too. So, yes, it is at 7 p.m. at Park Meadows Baptist Church every Friday.
Okay, and I would imagine if somebody does not live in Lethbridge, our viewers in Ontario or wherever, they can check with their local churches to see who
Yes.
offers a Celebrate Recovery program.
Yes, they would
Okay.
be able to look online and be able to find a location near them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sounds
Yeah.
great. It looks like we're out of time here, Patty, but thanks so much for being with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for highlighting this awesome ministry, what God has done. Yeah, He's just continuing.
Patty Bydevaate is a ministry leader with Celebrate Recovery. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.